It's time to put a new spin on a new show. Welcome to the StoryTeller, where stories are made up on the spot with chat room participation. We've gone interactive, folks. That's right, anyone can change the direction of the story at any given moment in time just by giving some stars, then dropping a word or phrase into the comment box. Each word or phrase from the star giver must be used in the very next sentence. Try having that make sense. So now that you know the rules, let's create some hysterical, haunting, enchanting, and out-of-this-world stories together. Brightest blessings from your host, the one and only queen of kindness herself, and author of over 12 books, Miss Sabrina Oxford.
Camera situated there. There we go. Okay, hi, I'm Sabrina Oxford. I'm your host. Happy Valentine's Day to all of you who are out there celebrating Valentine's Day. Okay, I'm choosing to spend Valentine's Day with you, so shout out to anybody in the chat room who is hanging out with me tonight for Valentine's Day. Okay, so we are here at the StoryTeller, and as you remember from last week, we have our spin wheel. I will go over the rules again. You had our intro. Our intro today was done by Gary Moore. Gary Moore is in, hang on. That's right, you guessed it, 100 Facebook friends. This book, watch for it. Watch for it. It might be coming out on TV pretty soon. Spoiler alert. So over the next month or two, next few months, take a look for 100 Facebook friends. If you happen to be in my area, you'll probably see it, or the surrounding areas. But you can get your copy at lulu.com. There's a lot of places that you can get them at, but I'm going to promote Lulu for tonight because that one allows me to send the most foster kids to college. Every 10,000 books, I can send one foster kid to college, and that is a pretty awesome thing. We have some other places that you can get it. Amazon UK people, we are now across borders. We are now over in the UK with 100 Facebook friends, and of course there are some people in the UK who are actually in the book. So, shout out to all the people in the book from the UK over there in Europe and the areas that you are from being in my wonderful book of 100 people that I choose from around the world. And there's a lot of people to choose from. I'm using people that we can have examples from, that we can rise up from, become better people from, learn something from, and this is not a story. This is not a book about rainbows and unicorns. As I say, it's real life stuff, the real things that people have been through. A little clip about that, what they learned, what we can learn, what I learned. So get a copy. Okay, now that I got done promoting my book shamelessly, and letting you know little surprises coming up, while we're waiting for some more people to come on here, I will go over a couple things that are coming up for the month of March. Some spoiler alerts that only those that are on here, because I will probably cut this out tomorrow. So if you are listening to this, you probably got about 24 hours. I don't know if I'm going to leave this up or not. I like doing the remakes afterwards, where after I do the story, I can put pictures to it and retell the story, and that's fun. So if you watched the full show in person last week, go back and watch the remakes. There's part 1, part 2, the pilot, and part 1. And we are today doing part 2. We'll be doing this at least for the month of February, maybe a little bit longer. Victor Santiago has asked me to do it longer than February, so it just depends on how busy March becomes. I have things that I have coming up too, but this is enjoyable, and it does allow me to use my creative abilities to try to make up a story. And it is kind of difficult to make up a story right on the spot and have people just throw things out at you. But that is also a way of expanding one's abilities to write and think. And I like that. So I am thirsty, so let me grab my Mountain Dew. Here's a plug. Mountain Dew. It is the preference of Sabrina Oxford, the Queen of Kindness. Oh yes, and I was supposed to have my little crown on. Where'd that go? You know, I really only want to use these crowns for when I'm doing the people in the book. But just for the sake of it's on there. There. Okay, I put it on. For the comment about it. Alright, now I got a phone down here and I got my computer over there and I got this phone going here, so I think we're good to go. But if you're out there working for Mountain Dew, Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew. Okay, I also drink water. For all you people out there thinking I'm drinking too much soda, I also drink water. Okay, so we are going to get started tonight with, it's Valentine's Day. So all stories will be based under love. So let's see if there are any little effects, because you know what? I ran into those little effects and I really liked it. And yes, and I think that's what we're going to do for Valentine's Day. I think that's what we'll do. Whoops, wait. There we go. Will that work? There we go. Okay, so let's try to fix my camera so we can get going. Okay, so all the stories will be about love in some size, shape, or form. So the question is, on the spin wheel, are we going to be talking about a story where someone is one, falling in love? Somebody's just falling in love with somebody. Will the story be a couple that are already in love? So number 2 is they are already in love. Or 3, are we going to be telling a sad story on Valentine's Day about a couple falling out of love? Let's hope we don't get number 3. Let's stick positive. Okay, now, keeping in mind the difficulties that we had last week and what people were coming up with genres, I have come up with my own variety. So, we will either be doing a mystery, a fairy tale, or a sci-fi. That's what we're going to do. Oh, I didn't number them. Okay, let's start out with, we'll have 1 will be a fairy tale, 2 will be sci-fi, and 3 will be a mystery. Okay, so here's the deal. I will spin the wheel. We'll find out what kind of story we are doing tonight. And all of you in the chat room, as I'm telling the story, now keep in mind, if there are blank spots, your screen didn't freeze. I do have to stop and think. It is hard. It is hard to come up with a story just right on the spot. So know that that's okay. Just be okay. Just be okay with it. So as I spin the wheel, we'll come up with our story. We all know that the subject will be love. We'll figure out what the genre is going to be. All right, and then we'll figure out what kind of love story. So let's figure out what the genre is: fairy tale, sci-fi, or mystery. Fairy tale, sci-fi, or mystery. Now, whoops, I was cheating. Hang on. My spin wheel isn't going very well. Spin, spin, spin. And we got 1, and 1 is fairy tale. Okay, so our story will be about a fairy tale love story. For now, keep in mind that all you have to do is drop stars into the chat room, and the stars support foster care. So if you're wondering what I'm using the star money for, that's for proofscholarships.org, People's Reach Out on Foster Care. That's what proof stands for, People's Reach Out on Foster Care Scholarship Program. So we have scholarship programs for foster kids to go to college, and they help raise their own funds. To do it, we put them through programs that will allow them that opportunity to do it, and we have a lot of fun with it. So this will be great and wonderful way of doing this, and that's why it's February, the month of love. So we're going to give a little extra love towards them. So all the funds raised for the month of February in doing this Storyteller show will go to People's Reach Out on Foster Care. Okay, so your stars will cause me to spin the spin wheel. And you can change it to a mystery or a sci-fi at any time. Your stars can also change the story from whatever we're going to pick of the love and make me spin the spin wheel for that. You can tell me in the chat room, spin the spin wheel, or you can put a phrase in. You can give some stars and you can put a word or a phrase. Hang on, I'm going to sneeze. Okay, sorry about that. So you can put a phrase into the chat room, and that will force me to use those words in the next sentence or two that's coming up in the story. Now, I do have the leeway of using all your words, but not necessarily in the order you put them in. So if you sat there and said, I went to the store, and that wasn't fitting in me walking into a building, because it was already established that building was not a store, then I was walking into the building, and then we left for the store. You see how I worked it all in? So I got the whole phrase in there, so I can do that. Or you can just leave a word. Now, no swear words. If you put a swear word in, thank you for your stars. I'm not going to use that. So that can be out of here. All right, so let's find out, are we going to be talking about a fairy tale of a couple that is already in love, a couple that is falling out of love, or a couple that's just not in love and we have to make them fall in love, or a couple that is already met and is falling in love? So let's spin the spin wheel, spin, and one and one again. And one is so it's a fairy tale about a couple falling in love. Now remember, once I start my story at any given point in time, you can change the story by giving some stars. Now, my understanding is you have to give a minimum of 50 stars. So that is why when you give the stars, you get permission to tell me what to say and what to do in regard to creating this story. And then when I get done with these stories on the Facebook Live, I will go and put it into my video creating program. Not going to tell you what I'm going to do, but video creating program, and get the appropriate videos, files, photos that I need to put in there, sound effects, etc., etc. And then tomorrow or the next day, I'll put up the actual story video. Okay. So I want to try and keep these short, but I did want to explain all that again so everybody knew what was going on, especially if we decide to do these longer than February. So, and again, once again, happy Valentine's Day to people that are coming in the chat room. Thank you for showing up on Valentine's Day to spend it with me online during the Storyteller. Okay, I will come up with falling in love fairy tale. A falling in love fairy tale. Okay. Fairy tale, fairy tale, fairy tale. Falling in love. Okay, once upon a time, there was this little bumblebee. And this bumblebee was in love with another bumblebee. And that bumblebee was starting to fall in love with the first bumblebee. And they made a very cute couple. They like to fly together, and they like to collect pollen together and bring it back to the hive and spend all their time when they're not working hanging out with each other. But there was a complication. So, let's go ahead and spin the spin wheel and find out what the complication is going to be that to keep the falling in love story from happening. Now, if it is a 1, the complication will probably be parents. If it's 2, it's friends, and if it's 3, it's the other bees. And our answer is, let's go to 3 instead of free. I get to pick, so 3. So other bees. Okay, so that means that there's another bee out there that's jealous of one of the bees that is in this relationship. So they start causing all kinds of havoc. Hi Lance, thank you for coming in the middle of our story. I probably shouldn't have stopped in the middle of the story like that, but just wanted to do a shout out and remind you that you can change the direction of the story and the genre of the story at any given point in time by tapping in some stars. Okay, so, or you can change, hello, or you can put in a word in the chat box, which I will have to use in the very next sentence of my story. So, we spun the spun wheel and we're doing a fairy tale of them falling in love. Because it's Valentine's Day, so all the stories are going to be about love. Okay, so we discovered that it's a little bee that is jealous of one of them, so they're going to try to create all little havocs and start messing up with the 2 bees getting together and having their little bee time and falling in love. So we need to do something about that. And she's going to turn to, and honey is the new word. Okay, so we're going to do something about that. And she's going to turn to honey that they have made. I got my word in. Honey that they have made to share with her and try to become friends with the jealous bee. Because they're thinking if they become friends, then maybe she can realize that, hey, there's a lot more other bees around here than this one bee that really doesn't want to be with you because he wants to be with me. He's a wanting to be with me bee and not a bee with you bee. So they give some honey and sit down and have their tea with honey time. The little bees do, with the family that talks them into becoming friends. And at any given point in time, you can put more words in there which would cause me to do that, or give me some stars which would cause me to spin the wheel. But otherwise, I think I made it to the end with only the word honey that I had to add in. So in the end, they all become friends. She's not jealous anymore. She gets her own little new bee, and she has her bee, and the 2 bees that were doing everything together and being in love, they have their bee. And everybody's be happy. Get it? Be happy. Okay, so that's the end of the bee story.